So Saul is back with us this week. He has
Hello.
moved into his treehouse. You live in a treehouse now, yes?
I live in a house and it has a tree next to it.
You gotta roll with the bit, dude. You gotta.
Yes, I live in a tree house.
No, it's too late now. You
It's
already.
too late. The ship has sailed.
You gotta.
Wait,
be
he
like...
lives in a ship now?
Never go with the bit.
Okay.
Just play it completely straight.
What do I have to live in now?
a
A
mailbox.
trash can.
Oh,
Shame.
I guess that's what I deserve.
So, I am experimenting on my end because I have terrible organizational skills as a DM. And really early in a campaign, like at this stage of a campaign, all my stuff is in like nice, neat, orderly spreadsheets. But I reach a point in the planning where there's just so much information it becomes impossible to find again. So, I'm trying a new technique where I'm just streamlining. I've got a text file that is just all of the open story beats with all the relevant characters in each one. That I'm just, after every session, I'm going to update and then delete the old ones. And hopefully this way, 10 sessions from now, when you guys mention an NPC I haven't thought about in 6 months, I won't have to dig through spreadsheets. But the upside of that is I do have all of your open story beats in this nice, easy to access file. So at the beginning of a session, if you want a reminder of which ones are open, to give you an idea of what to pursue in sessions like today's, which would just kind of be freewheeling around the city, I have that available. In the meantime, does anybody have a 100-word summary of all the ways I lit you on fire last week?
Let me see.
Well, there were swords for hands, and then there was walking over you, and there's fire now. I think that might be it.
Victor discovered there's an actual adventurers guild.
Kind of.
So Jeannie set up a date with a boy, and then she almost died. Ekon watched his boss kill a mass murderer / serial killer
He
in the
didn't
bottom
kill
of a
him,
church.
He provided his funerary rites for him. The man was dying of old age.
Oh, okay. I thought he killed him.
Nope.
I missed.
No,
All right. Still,
that would be murder.
Victor was still really excited about oranges, and then he got excited about not being excited about oranges because he found the Adventure Guild.
Victor was excited about oranges until he realized how much work it was going to be, and then he's like, "Nope, not doing this."
Those
He met
oranges seem
Miles
like an awful
Edgeworth, and
hassle.
he met Miles Edgeworth and was like, "No, I'm terrified now."
He told Miles Edgeworth that Jeannie is not the one that shot the dude, and then Edmont tried out for an acrobat troupe, made a very poor showing, and doesn't like to babysit.
Edmont just kind of dumped the kids off.
Yeah.
Oh, and we obligated ourselves to go check out some stupid ruins with Orson.
Yeah, that is true. We also did that.
That's what I remember.
So you all
Yeah,
went
sounds
off
right.
and put your fingers into little pies, and they all kind of blew up on you. And then Mommy had to bring you back home and get you back on task. And then you all just went back out to your little pies.
Oh, and our grandmother maybe got poisoned.
Hey, I haven't done anything. I haven't been here. I have literally
Well, I
done
guess-
nothing wrong.
I guess it's our, great aunt and your grandma.
But yeah,
You
it's not
haven't
right.
gotten married yet. That's what's wrong.
It's been a week.
That's
You're
too long.
18.
You haven't gotten married yet.
If
You guys-
Get with the program.
Well, I'm gonna go start my own noble house with blackjack and hookers. In fact, forget the noble house.
It's still gonna be a crime lord.
You'd be a great crime lord.
I mean, you wouldn't be the first exiled noble that struck out to make their fortune in some
Yeah,
other
that-
path.
That seems to be the trajectory she's on at the moment.
You also wouldn't be the first one to fail spectacularly and come crawling back home when the money ran out.
I don't think that's an option in this case. This feels like you're once you're out, you're probably just dead to rights.
It depends on the circumstances.
I feel like everybody else was doing stuff, and then however long the last session the time frame was, I feel like Evie was just sulking in her room.
She was just sitting in her room with the lights off, hoping she doesn't do something that Ruby can blame on her for something.
Ruby blames you for sitting in your room with the lights off for so long.
Oh, that figures. Okay, so catch me up. There are unseelie creatures in our basement. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, it was a blood priest that wants to kill the non-believers who tried to do a fire elemental.
It literally wanted to burn everything.
Yeah, except for me.
Just you guys.
He burned Edmont too.
I feel like this is something that we need to like do something about.
So the
This
order of
seems
events,
very bad.
they went down there. They found the priest. Victor stepped forward to pray with him. The priest told Victor to help him bring down the non-believers. Victor didn't do that, so he tried very hard to burn Victor, and he did burn Jeannie quite a bit.
Yeah,
Also Edmont.
Okay, so was this actually a human or was this a monster? The kind that we were told don't exist around here anymore.
That's an excellent question.
That is something I want to find out. I also want to find out who's like shipping skeletons to our house. That seems like a big deal. I also feel like probably Ruby isn't going to prioritize dealing with that because she's not going to do anything that risks any kind of political blow.
Well, we've got the skeleton vote coming up in the Senate too.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I
Yeah, we
forgot.
got to deal with that too.
Well, you guys
There
don't have
was-
to deal with that. That's kind of out of your hands.
Oh yeah, but
Right.
that doesn't have anything to do with who tried to kill us.
Yeah, we've got a couple of different plates that are spinning, and we need to actually start figuring out what the hell's going on.
Okay, if there's like a cult of doomsday hanging out in our basement, I feel like that needs to be priority one.
So I guess I'll just do we need to resolve the immediate aftermath because we left at the end of the fight when we were back up at the top of the stairs is where we left last time.
The immediate aftermath, that's kind of on you guys. If you guys want to pick
Okay.
it up right from there and do something right away, the only thing you're going to have to deal with immediately is whether or not you tell anybody else in the manor what transpired.
I mean, it would be very difficult to hide because Jeannie is half burnt to death.
No,
Evie
can
is
fix
so
that.
furious at you guys for letting Jeannie get set on fire.
they could
I
they could spirit you
I like-
upstairs without anybody seeing. I mean, you have remember
we-
you all have trusted retainers in the house that will keep your secrets.
I can fix that in an hour.
I mean, I'm unconscious.
I like how you guys. I like how you guys also.
You guys,
Like-
you cannot take my sister to dangerous places without me. My siblings always die when I'm not there. Evie's really mad.
So
Well,
let's
hadn't
make a
been-
decision right now. Is this a secret that you guys are keeping between the five of you, or is this something that you're going to bring to?
Yes, immediately we will. We'll probably maybe tomorrow, but we should get our ducks in a row before we talk to anyone else about this.
What we need to do, we need to figure out a way so this doesn't turn into a scandal where House Veritas has unseelie beasts hanging out underneath their manor. We need to get ahead of that. We need to figure out what's actually going on and address the proper authorities so that, this isn't gonna, we turn around and we're all arrested and...
I'm not concerned about that, but I would like to spend some time in the church library stacks researching both the prayers that this guy was talking about and the specifics of the creature or whatever happened. Anything I can find about either of those.
So
Maybe you
Victor,
Maybe you could pick your mentor's brain about that.
So
Yeah.
Are you going to do these? Should I do a round of actions before you guys are going to tell Ruby or Nigel what
Yes.
happened? Okay. So let's
That's
start with that.
Ekon is encouraging everyone else to. He can't stop other people from telling them, and he's going to leave the premises as soon as Jeannie's healed. So, but yes,
So
That's
Ekon is
his
staying
thought.
at home until Jeannie is.
for an hour. I need a short rest to get my house slot back. Then I can hit him with a healing word.
Okay. So go ahead
Or
and
with
do
you.
that first.
Okay.
Everybody take the benefits of a short rest as long as you're staying in the house for an hour. And I'll just assume that you guys have, for now, taken Jeannie up to her room without anybody else knowing except for your retainers. And the guardsman that is on Jeannie's payroll.
Yeah. All right. So I get my house slot back. I can use that to cast a healing word. So Jeannie, you go ahead and on top of the hit dice, you get back 5 hit points.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is go around and get evening actions for today. If you decide not to take a long rest tonight, I'm going to impose exhaustion because of that combat.
Is that after the evening action?
After the evening action.
Okay.
So let's get... so, Ekon, you're going to go straight to the church this evening?
Yeah, I want to research everything that we just saw downstairs before we make any other decisions. I want to get as much information as I can.
Are we considering using Platin as a resource for this or not?
Yeah, I trust him pretty implicitly at this point.
Okay. Go ahead and make an investigation check. Add advantage. If you confide in Platin about the nature of the creature, where you found it, and under what circumstances.
Yes, can I put guidance on that?
Yes. And do the rest of your companions know that you're telling Platin this?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're telling the slovenly drunken priest before you tell Ruby. I can't imagine why she doesn't like you guys.
That's an investigative 13.
What is Edmont doing this evening?
Edmont is going to hit the pavement and see if he can track down where those skeletons came from.
What pavement and where? Like, how are you doing this?
I'm assuming there's some kind of bill of lading or some kind of documentation that shows that where it was delivered from.
Not with the crates that arrived at the house, but Valeria said that he had sussed out that they were sourced from House Inmotai. And that seems to be the prevailing opinion within your household, is that Inmotai sent these specifically to make an awkward, violent situation.
That's definitely a very strong possibility, but I can't rule out the possibility that someone knows that Imotai is our enemy, and they are intentionally trying to stir up bad blood by sending us skeletons.
Everybody knows that. House Inmotai were the speakers for your province for years and years until just now.
Yeah, so anyone who would be looking to stir up trouble, they would already know Imotai are our enemy.
So Edmont, the question is, I mean, you could go directly to their manor house and start busting heads. You could try to hook up with Valeria and find out how he learned what he says he knew.
Yeah, I'm gonna press Valeria on that and follow up on those leads.
What sort of spirit is Edmont displaying to Valeria? Is this a spirit of cooperation, or is this a spirit of mistrust, like Victor?
Cooperation.
Okay, because I don't think we've actually established Edmont's outlook on Valeria yet. Make me a persuasion check.
Not good at those. I had my time in the sun as the charisma character. Oh, that's a 12.
And what is Victor doing this evening?
Victor is going to go talk to the bookseller.
Okay, the bookseller's shop won't be open past sundown. Are you going to try to force your way in? She probably lives on the premises. Like, you could try to wake her up and get her to open the shop for you.
He'll wait and do that tomorrow. So he will... Victor is going to go through... We have a library, right?
In your manor, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think anybody's established one. You just have whatever books were brought with you. So, a private collection. Remember, Nigel wasn't much of a reader.
Are there any libraries in the city?
Oh, of course. Kind of depends on who you know and what you're trying to look into.
Is there any libraries that Victor would have heard of that are related to religious material? Like, does the church have one that he could access?
You can go with Ekon and help him.
Nah, yeah, he's going to go with Ekon then.
Okay.
But he's going to go to the library. He doesn't know that Ekon's... Does Victor know that Ekon's going to go talk to the dude?
Yeah, I'm going to assume that everybody knows this stuff.
Okay. He's going to go with Ekon, but he's going to go to the library instead.
And what is Evie doing this evening?
Edmont, is it alright if I tag along with you?
Apparently not. My goodness. McDohl must be muted.
Okay.
Sorry, what?
Yeah. Oh, I want to know if it was alright if I tag along with you for this adventure.
Certainly.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with Edmund to talk to Valeria.
And Genie has like 4 hit points.
I have 14 hit points.
14.
Unless I can't use my hit die.
You can. I gave everybody a
Okay.
short rest because Ekon
Yeah.
said he needed an hour.
So yeah, I have 14 hit points. I'm staying in. I'm going to stay in and just
Beginning a long rest.
Summon a familiar?
Yes, okay, fine. I will summon a familiar.
Is it a rabbit?
That's not one of the choices.
Genie.
Yeah.
Staying in, you're deciding to lay low in your house. I mean, you're feeling better now. You're feeling like you're surprised that you woke up, for one thing. 'Cause the last thing you remember is your body being lit on fire by a monster in your basement.
Uh-huh.
And you're visited at your room. So you guys have kind of one of the wings of the manor to yourself. I don't think we've... I know Saul's drawn a map. I don't think it's been introduced into the table yet. But where there's kind of a common area, and then you all have quarters off of it in your own wing of the manor. Is that correct?
I think the twins are on one side, and my brother and I are on another, and I'm not sure where Victor is.
Okay.
It probably needs to be redone now that we have like a more established, shape of the manor.
I'm not concerned about maintaining the shape of the manor that much. It's like Snoopy's doghouse, man. It's bigger on the inside.
Okay.
But yeah, Orson pays a call on you in your room, Genie, which is not common. This is not something he would typically do. And he's concerned. Do you admit him?
Yes. I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I admit him.
Okay.
And he's probably not in her armor, and I'm not sure like what magical healing does for angry fire elemental burns.
I mean, you're feeling fine. Like, your skin's probably still very tender, and the clothes that you were wearing when you were attacked are ruined. So if you were wearing armor, like, it still needs to be repaired, and it needs to be cleaned or replaced.
Oh. Yes, Orson?
He's concerned because he doesn't know what happened, but he knows that word came into the manor a little over an hour ago, and he rattles off the names of your retainers, the ones who were sent down to help get you back up to the manor while you were unconscious. And he thinks something has happened, and in fact, when he sees you, and he sees the fresh pink skin on your arms and your neck, which were burned and then healed magically, and you can tell that he knows something is up. But he doesn't know what. And he's trying to get you to tell him.
I mean, I'll tell him, and I'm going to say it this exact. We're still in the fact-finding phase.
What
We
facts
will
have
let
you found?
What facts have we found? It is too early to tell.
Shouldn't we inform Father and Ruby?
We will, as soon as everybody gets back.
They all left in an awful hurry.
Yes.
And you leave it at that?
And I'm gonna, I guess I'll put my hand on his shoulder and say, thank you for being concerned. But don't worry, like this is not this is not going to be a secret. It's just we're trying to get more information before we bring it to everybody.
And he leaves you more concerned than when he arrives.
Huh? guess I'll-
Evie,
Summon my familiar.
Hello.
roll me a persuasion check, please. Actually, Edmont, roll that persuasion check at advantage, because Evie's going to be assisting you with that.
Sorry, I was reading some food.
Put the pornography down for once in your life.
18 for the persuasion.
Nice.
Okay. Finding Valeria at this time of day is not terribly difficult, because you catch him after. I mean, he has his own apartments in the city that you are aware of. You catch him like after his work for the day is done, whatever odd jobs he's taken up around town, and he would return home to have a light evening meal and to dress himself for the evening. So you catch him just as he's going out for the evening, and you're pressing him. You're trying to convince him to work with you and figure out who sent these skeletons, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He's the only one who seems to know anything.
Well, that's because he's the only one that actually goes out into the city, into the dirty and dark places of the city where real people live, people who actually know things.
Can you show us where some of these people live?
He said, I could tell you about them. I have other engagements this evening.
Then by all means.
The name he gives you that he dug up is Turfit Longshin. Longshin is called that because he has a very bizarrely shaped face that is incapable of growing facial hair. So his like weird banana-shaped head is the first thing everybody notices about him. He just has this really pointy chin that never has a beard on it. But even though he's a miserable and misshapen man, he's very wealthy. He owns a lot of warehouses within the city limits. So the city, most of the foot traffic in the city comes from two tunnels that go down under the lake, but there's also a considerable amount of boat traffic because there are rivers that attach to the lake on which Brennanine sits. So there is a district over here with lots of warehouses and docks and space like this. And as soon as they arrived in town, because recall, Valeria did not do a whole lot as far as establishing the manor or helping with the construction, or it kind of looked like he just left and did his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't been able to explain to Ruby what he was actually doing, because he's never been able to get Ruby to listen to him for more than 10 seconds without...
Yeah, I have no idea what that's like.
Yeah, no kidding.
And he tells you... his face is very serious from him and says, no, you truly don't. Then wait to see if you press the issue any further than that.
I kind of feel like I do, but I'm not gonna fight him on this.
So you don't say that out loud.
No.
Okay.
Um,
He tells you that he was spending the time preemptively looking into dealings that House Enmotai were doing.
So you anticipated something like this would happen.
He tells you he tried to bring it to Ruby's attention, or Nigel's attention rather, before he left South Warren. This was before the Lady Anfrid told him that he would be traveling, or this is before he decided that he was going to be traveling along with Nigel to Brennanine. This is the kind of thing that Nigel's not good at. And when he tried to bring it to Ruby on the road, she didn't make time for him.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Are you interested in currying favor with Ruby?
He says he has no interest in Ruby at all.
Fair enough.
Are you interested in currying favor with us?
He looks bemused and says, you don't have anything I want.
Yet.
That's fair. My only reason for asking was to...
What can you offer
if
me
you're
that I
trying-
can't get from your father? He's just talking
Fair
over
enough.
you guys. He's interrupting you. He does not show you the proper decorum or respect due to your... He's been a family friend for years. He's He's like your dad's old college buddy that he's been to hell and back with.
Yeah, and Evie knows this, and she's not expecting him to defer to them. She's kind of having her fun with him too. Like, this is probably like a game that they play.
All right, Valeria.
He says that he's been watching a little bit the five of you.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, before we get on the topic of what I found at these warehouses, an observation, if you promise not to take offense.
Deal.
I can't promise I won't take offense, but I promise not to show it.
He tells you that the five of you, especially Evie and Jeannie, being the highest born of Nigel's children who are in the adventuring party, are very, very used to being the princes and princesses of South Warren. What you don't realize yet is that your blood buys you less than you think in the city of Brennanine.
Oh, I can already see that this city is going to be a completely different universe. I don't expect my name or station to carry any weight here whatsoever, to be honest. Here I am, Ruby Veritas' younger sister, and nothing more.
He tells you that in a city like Brennanine, it pays more to be a person like him than a person like you.
Then how can I become more like you?
Edmont looks a little askance at that.
Evie's dead serious.
He considers it, and he says, well, first you have to grow a very finely cropped goatee, like I have.
That's going to take some work.
I feel you're up to the task.
Let's skip that for now. What's the next step?
So, he tells you about Longshin.
Mm-hmm.
His interest in Longshin is that he had some shady dealings with him years and years ago. There was a job that he worked last time he was in Brennanine. This is before either of you were born. Where Longshin at the time was working as a smuggler. Smuggling illicit goods into the city under cover of darkness. He used the proceeds from that job to establish himself as a warehouse owner, and one of the first things he wanted to do when he got to town is find out whether Longshin still had an enterprise and whether that enterprise was legit or not. Either way, Valeria felt like he might be able to profit from it. He hasn't figured that out yet. He's still working on it. But
this guy's the lead.
A shipment that arrived in one of Longshin's warehouses that originated in South Warren, right around the time you guys first got to the city. And if I can find the correct map, it should not be difficult to ascertain why that struck him as strange. South Warren is landlocked.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There are no rivers big enough to be on this map in South Warren.
Right.
So, any shipment that's going to come into Brennanine down the river would have to come from the north. There's no rivers that come through this central valley down into the lake. There are many rivers that go from the lake out to the ocean or through the swamps. This is one of the ships that this particular shipment came in on. He learned this the morning the boxes showed up at your house. They had sat in that warehouse for a few weeks beforehand. He thinks House Imnotai arranged it to ship these crates through the mountain pass into Goselthan, so it can make the appearance of coming in by river from the east, rather than come across the lake from the west.
So they really went out of their way to keep this off of anybody's radar.
Any goods that come from South Warren into Brennanine come by road. They come by the roads you guys traveled to get here. And it's a long road. You had to travel south down around the Central Valley here. But there are harder roads that go up through the mountain pass up into Losteria. And it makes no sense for shipments to go that way and then come down either the coast or come down a river.
It's very strange, yes.
So that morning, he was going to come to and share his findings with Nigel, and that just happened to be the same day that the boxes showed up, and that damn fool Denny took a crowbar to it before anybody had a chance to ask questions about it.
All
Well,
right.
I suppose that's a good place to start any kind of investigation work.
Are you asking for his assistance in this work?
Well, this Longshin man, is he even going to give us the time of day unless we drop your name?
He doesn't know. His dealings with Longshin were many, many years ago, and he's just now working to reestablish some of those old connections of his. And he points out that he's got other connections that he doesn't feel like he can trust you with.
That's fair.
Your words are nice, but he has no reason to believe you're not going to immediately run home and just rat him out to Ruby on whatever he's doing, and that just would complicate his life. He doesn't need that.
Valeria, you have my sworn word of bond. The last thing I'm looking to do right now is try to make trouble with Ruby over anything.
So, looking at Evie's reputations, so far there's nothing in her reputations where your word, because you can only give him your word as a member of House Veritas.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, he doesn't know what your word is worth. You're an untested, unproven quantity.
Okay, what do you want?
I'll make an insight check. Well, you can't pay him anything. You don't have anything.
I'm not saying. What does he want me to show him?
Right now, I want you to make an insight check to see if you know the answer to that question. Because if you ask him, you're just going to get a sarcastic response.
Okay, so let's do roll. That is a 15 plus. My insight is pretty good.
That's good. That beats his 11.
Yeah, so that's a 21.
Okay. Talking with Valeria, he treats you like children.
We are children to him.
And unruly children at that. He knows you've been arguing with Ruby. He knows that you guys have lived this pampered, noble lifestyle. And now that you actually have duties for your house, you're starting to reject them. That can go either way as far as he's concerned. But basically, if you go and do this business with Longshin, and you don't cause him any undue complications, and he knows that the information doesn't get back to Ruby, that he's possibly setting up a connection in Brennanine with a smuggler, which she would disapprove of.
Mm-hmm.
That he might be able to be a resource for future contacts in this way. Here's what that means mechanically. When you reach level 4, if either of you take a reputation in something that Valeria would respect when it comes to underworld or criminal dealings, which is essentially what he's trying to get rolling for himself, he would be a useful resource to have in the city.
Okay, so here's Evie's perspective. It's very clear that she is considered of no value to House Veritas right now, except for how well she can marry.
Yeah.
What she would like is, at this point, it seems like her option are to become someone more like Valeria, someone who can act kind of outside of the normal constraints of noble activity in order to assist her house in other means, in other ways.
Okay.
I don't know that necessarily means she's going to become a smuggler, but establishing those kinds of contacts, being able to, kind of drift into that world a little, kind of walk the line there, is something that would intrigue her right at the moment.
Edmont, that's a luxury that you have that Evie and Jeannie might not. There might not be anything in the world that Evie and Jeannie can do that would be more useful to the house than make a good marriage and provide heirs for Nigel. So that would be something that Edmond and Ekon could pursue pretty effortlessly as they level up, and Victor as well. But Evie and Jeannie would have to work very, very hard at it.
No, Edmont is absolutely willing to do those kinds of things, because sometimes things got to get done, and sometimes You just have to ask a few questions: is how do they get done?
So
Yeah,
all
and
Valeria knows for sure right now is that the crates sat in one of Longshin's warehouse. Longshin's warehouses are in the wrong part of the city for fare coming into the town from the west. And that 20 years ago, Longshin worked as a smuggler. That's how he got his warehouse operation in town set up. More than that, he doesn't know. He's only had a couple of brief meetings with the man, catching up a little bit. Hasn't done any actual work with him yet. But he's going to be watching to see how you guys handle this.
Right. Okay.
Valeria leaves the conversation, sneering at Evie, and says, I have an idea. Why don't you marry me?
And Evie looks at him, like trying to decide if he's serious.
Can you think of something Ruby would enjoy less?
Evie thinks about that. No, but
You get her thrown off of the speakers council.
I don't think to be honest, I don't think
rather.
I'm pretty sure Ruby could just veto that. She could just say no, you can't.
Not legally.
I mean, if Evie found another suitor that Ruby didn't like, could Ruby say no? Could Ruby overrule that?
She could say no. She could say, go ahead. I mean, you marry whoever you want. There's nothing legally binding about it. But if you marry somebody your house doesn't approve of, they can kick you out of the household. And now you're on your own.
Okay, so, Uncle Valeri, if I make it to, say, 40 without getting married, then maybe we'll talk. Until then, don't ever ask me anything like that ever again.
So I'm no good to you until I'm 90 then. Very well.
I'm not sure that I'm any good to you until I'm just not sure I'm any good for you.
I must say, if you're this flustered over a joke by your good uncle,
Oh, Evie's not flustered.
I'm not sure how you'll do with the Longshin.
You sound flustered.
Anything else for Valeria? Before he
No,
I think
we didn't even see him. Who's Valeri?
we'll bring this up with the others in the morning at a private breakfast, I think.
Okay. So Victor, the church doesn't maintain like an actual official library. What you might have access to instead are the private collections of some of the more qualified Athars. If you come in the evening and you find you have contacts in the cathedral because Ekon is a known quantity there now.
And Victor goes to church every Sunday in Old Athar.
That's true, but he hasn't, as so far, established an actual contact with anybody in the church except for Ekon. But yeah, you find one of the old Athars that has a considerable collection of religious texts that isn't doing anything else this evening, and their servants are able to bring you up to his quarters. Enough to easily spend days poring through old religious texts. So give me an investigation check, but make yours just normally. You don't have the... Because you were specifically pursuing a different avenue of investigation than Ekon was, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, give me that investigation check, just straight up.
I give up.
You have blips if you want to use them.
You know what? Yeah, it's what, 2 blips to reroll?
Yeah.
And 4 for an auto success.
I'll say.
Let's go YOLO. Let's go 4 blips.
YOLO is spending 2, rolling another 2, and then spending 2 more, and rolling a third 2.
Now let's go sub YOLO.
So spending 4?
Yeah.
I always love when people spend the blips on the knowledge checks, and then get into combat and not have any. Alright.
I mean, I spent 4 blips on horse ride.
Pouring through the old text, the difficulty is that this old Athar who you're kind of imposing upon for the evening, you can tell that he doesn't get very many visitors. His best days are long behind him. But he's very knowledgeable, and he talks constantly, and he has difficulty staying focused. So the topic you're looking to research is the type of monster you encountered, the fire elemental. Yes.
Yeah, the type of monster, as well as relationships between offshoot sects of the Aetherian Church that might enjoy fire monsters or worship fire or think they can take the form of air by turning into fire.
The text that he presents you with when you express this interest is almost entirely mythological. It's all from the days of the ancients, of the great elven sorcerer gods that walked the earth long before humanity was here. And the reason this is of interest to you at long last, after 3 hours of browbeating around him constantly stacking up old books and changing the subject, what finally pings for you is that he doesn't think the entity you're describing, which I guess we should establish, are you describing it as a hypothetical, or are you telling him you fought this thing in your basement?
It's a hypothetical.
Okay. The thing he's describing is not an unseelie creature at all. The thing he's describing is very, very ancient elven magic. The kind of thing that you might plumb a great ruins to find. If you found a relic that can do stuff like this, it would definitely be something of great interest to academic societies in Brennanine as well as the church. But it's sounding like the thing you fought wasn't unseelie in nature at all. It was a human with very powerful magic, the kind of which was part of the planet millennium before man walked it.
Which sort of fits with Victor's view that this was probably just some sort of priest that did something crazy. Because fire elementals don't exist, right? The church killed them all.
Well, here's the thing, is this was not just a priest that self-immolated. He transformed into a monster that consumed him utterly. There was nothing left of his body. Just the pile of ash, and that was it. This is a kind of magic that it's not completely unheard of. There are high-level spellcasters in this campaign world. But coming across one in your basement is very surprising. But it sounds like it wasn't a monster. It sounds like it was somebody using very powerful magic. Ekon, you were attacking the problem. You filled Plaid in on what happened.
Yep.
He has less information on the nature of the creature you fought, but he does tell you about a very old, essentially a terrorist sect called the Hand of Fire that operated in Brennanine about 100 years ago. The idea was that after this big schism brought the Holy Church to Brennanine, there was a side sect of the schism for whom the reforms put into place when the church moved to Brennanine were too liberal, a step too far for them. They were more purists. And they got a reputation for wielding pyromancy. There was an uprising of them in Brennanine about 100 years ago. They were put down by the church, but the church did not recover enough relics from that time to explain the sorts of fire magic they were able to use.
Did the prayers and the stuff that the priest was saying, is that all consistent with how they acted?
It's consistent with what would have been considered an ultra extremist take on Aetherian practices 100 years ago.
Okay.
And not at all consistent with modern practices.
Cool.
It doesn't surprise him to know that these kinds of extremists still exist in the world, but he also doesn't show a lot of interest in the topic. It's very academic for him. It's like religious extremist groups kind of show up every so often. The Holy Church has to squash them down.
Okay.
And he directs you towards so-and-so Athar, whose library Victor is already perusing if you want to know more about the actual creature. Make me an insight check.
Yep. That would be an insight of 20. 21. 21, sorry.
Previously, Plaid and his entire philosophy that you've learned involves drawing a distinct difference between something that's unseelie and something that's evil.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little surprising because he doesn't seem to classify this instance as being either of those things. And you think this is why he's not showing interest in it.
Okay.
And Jeannie, you were summoning a familiar, yes?
Yeah.
What horrible new familiar?
Just a cat.
So I have to
Unless
pick
you'll-
cat next.
Yeah, unless you'll let me summon the El Mirage, which is not in the PHB, but
Summon the
whatever.
what?
Cat. The rabbit with the horn. No, just a cat. I don't want anything exotic. I'm probably gonna forget to use the damn thing.
You know what? You
So-
don't even get a cat. You get a termite. El Mirage. Listen to you. Okay.
I could have asked for a flying cat.
I actually have the stat block for that. I have no idea why.
You let Nodal have
Nodal
that,
had one.
sure. If Nodal can have a flying cat, then I think Treble should be allowed to have a
Horn
rabbit with a horn.
Yeah.
I think that's only fair.
No, cat's
I
fine.
don't think that's fair at all.
You trying to make it up to Jenny or Denny?
Is everybody going back home tonight? Or
Victor will.
Yeah.
So are we not actually
Edmont.
confronting this guy who Valeria has told us to investigate?
No, you spent your
No, I
evening
think-
talking with Valeria.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think we approach him tomorrow.
All right.
When you guys get back, Jeannie is like she spent the afternoon because this was like more than a few hours. She's like just repairing her equipment and summoning a familiar. And there's a cat, and she points at it and says, "This is cat."
With a K?
No, with a C. Don't be
Oh.
stupid.
Hello, cat with a C.
God. This is cat. He's my familiar. Now let's go tell Ruby what happened.
Okay. So what did we
Well, Ruby,
actually
by the
dig
time
up?
everybody gets home, Ruby's turned in for the night. You guys just took evening.
Yeah, it'll be-
actions.
yeah.
It's well after sundown when you guys get home. So everybody go take the benefits of a long rest. As long as you're sleeping tonight.
Get my hit dice back.
Round the hit dice up or down when you get half of them back?
I'll always round down. Minimum
Okay.
one.
There is actually one other action I would like to take. It's not like it's a minor thing. I need to ask my attendant to do something for me.
To do what?
Okay, so I would like her, because she's kind of like my eyes and ears. I want her to ingratiate herself in like other servant circles, and I want her to keep her ear to the ground for any potential suitors that would be to Evie's interest.
Where do you want her to put this ear to the ground? I mean, most of her work keeps her here at the manor.
Mm-hmm.
Which means
Yeah,
she's
it's
only
like
going to hear the people that Ruby wants you to marry.
Yeah, that's probably not going to work out. I would need to. I don't know where else to send a servant to investigate that kind of thing. I don't have enough information to do that yet, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, I've got a list.
Evie has absolutely no interest in anyone that the Amerson sisters would try to present to her.
Okay.
Evie's got to look at an entirely different time continuum.
I mean, if nothing else, you could get the list and just immediately, just X everybody on that list off.
So when it comes
What,
to
like-
marriage, Evie is not necessarily opposed to marriage. She just thinks that she is being basically kicked out of the house in these terms.
I mean, that's a story as old as time. Father tells you to marry somebody, you don't want to. It's like, okay, you're out.
Yeah, but
You can't
basically,
you can't have the benefits of this noble house if you're not going to do your duty by it.
yeah,
thought that-
well, Evie's read on the situation is Ruby is telling her to get married to someone who fits very specific criteria, so that Ruby can reap the political benefits of having another house brought in, but that she still maintains the control. She doesn't want Evie or Jeannie to marry someone who would have so much clout that it would threaten Ruby's control of the house, or make so that she didn't have complete control over all of it. If we married someone who was too highborn, then we would have some of the controlling stake.
If you marry somebody too highborn, you would be joining their house instead of them joining yours.
Yeah, and I know that's not what Ruby wants, but I think if Evie gets married, it's absolutely not going to be someone that Ruby wants.
Okay, I gotta step away for 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
All right. So as far as following up on the leads we've got right now, I'm totally down to go follow up after Longshin.
Yeah, I can go with you on that.
So we've got a hand of fire to deal with. I think we should present the information we've discovered about all of this, including the fight, to Ruby as a group.
Yeah, now that we have a name and a backstory, I feel like that's more to present rather than there's some weird thing.
Yeah.
Now we can say if we have to go to the guards, we at least have a story for them.
Yeah. Mommy, there's terrorists in our basement.
Yeah, that's going to get their attention more than all these dumb kids who keep causing trouble. They say they fought a fire monster. They're just bullshitting.
Yeah, see what happens when you actually do some research?
Yeah, I mean that's all I wanted.
Yeah.
Oh no, we have become the Scooby-Doos. We are those meddling kids.
Somebody get the dog familiar.
God damn it.
Sorry.
Treble, why did you say that? I hate you so much now.
I mean, you could have had a Mastiff in your initial inventory.
I do have a Mastiff. That's what I have. I picked two Mastiffs.
So we need to go find some high quality plants to partake of, I guess.
Yeah, and my Mastiffs are named Dog and Dog.
No, our last campaign was the coke-addled investigators. Can we not do that again?
So, in the immediate future, correspondence arrives at the manor from House Nukton.
Oh no.
Saying that no man of Nukton will sell to any man of Veritas as long as their blood flows.
Didn't all the
They don't
oranges
have
get
anything
burned?
left. What are they going to sell us? That's like saying, oh, we're not going to share any of our oil with you.
They might have oil, I don't know.
Uh,
Well, I guess we'll get oranges from somebody else.